Hello everybody, welcome back. So I'm going to start off this video with some lovely engagement news. Now, whilst this isn't a member of the royal family, although she is technically one of the pop princesses, I won't call her a country pop princess because I know that upsets some country fans. I mean, let's be honest, the biggest country star these days is Beyonce. Obviously, I'm messing with you. I'm also a fan of country artists, but real country artists. But the reason why I'm bringing this up in a royal news video is because there is definitely a crossover with the story. So Taylor Swift announces her engagement to her partner Travis, and they look really, really happy together. I like Taylor Swift, I am a Swiftie, and I like a lot of her music, and I also think that they seem genuinely happy together. So lovely, joyous news. But then when you went onto social media, there was an outpouring of rage from a small bubble of people, and I'm sure you'll be able to guess who they were. And they were screeching about it was done on purpose. Taylor has done this to sabotage Meghan yet again. Prince William must be behind it. And you're thinking to yourselves, her engagement announcement, Meghan Markle, how could they link these two together? Well, what happened was, on the day that Meghan's trailer was released for the upcoming show, then Taylor Swift dropped the announcement, or her record label did, that her next and her 12th album will be coming in September, called The Life of a Showgirl, and I have to say, released with some rather spicy photographs. So they felt that Taylor had knocked Meghan off the headlines. A squirrel farting would be more interesting news than Meghan Markle's trailer release for part 2 of With Love, Meghan. Also, let's not forget that With Love Season 2 was not meant to be released until fall, which is towards the end of September. It was only because there was a last minute change around, I'm presuming before the contract expired. That's the reason why it was all of a sudden being released a whole month earlier. So then, of course, what's happened now is, and this is where they think it's coordinated, on the day Meghan's show aired, Taylor announces this wonderful news that she's getting engaged. Now, I think it's got everything to do with she wanted to release the news of her album. Her media label wanted it to all be about the excitement of her new album. She left it a couple of weeks because they apparently got engaged a few weeks back, and then let the dust settle and then do the lovely announcement. It's just PR. So for them to be saying that Taylor did this deliberately to knock Meghan off the headlines is honestly laughable. Only her fan base and Meghan herself could honestly think that she's even on Taylor's radar. Meghan apparently also sent Taylor a letter, no doubt in her chicken scratch version of calligraphy, to beg her to come on to the Archetypes podcast, which she flatly refused. Now, everybody knows that Taylor is definitely a monarchist. She loves the royal family and she gets along really well with Prince William and the Princess of Wales. Ever since she dragged him up on stage and they performed with John Bon Jovi. And then of course we saw the lovely photographs of Prince George and Princess Charlotte having the time of their lives. And who can forget Prince William up on that balcony doing his best royal dad dancing and definitely shaking it off. So it's clearly obvious that Taylor is on friendly terms with the Prince and Princess of Wales, but I can't imagine that she would rearrange when she's getting engaged because of some secret vendetta that Prince William has against Meghan Markle. It's laughable that it happened and it is funny that it happened, but I just honestly think it was just coincidence because I can't see Taylor Swift using this very, very special moment in her life to have anything to do with this, let's be honest, the shit show that is part 2, season 2 of With Love, Meghan, which still hasn't even ranked. I mean, season 1 made it into the top 10 briefly, and then it shot down to, I think, 383. So it was pretty badly received, and I just can't imagine how badly received this is. But I said I was going to have a look at that interview, and you know, it took me about 6 hours to get through the 43-minute interview that she has done with Emily Chang on Bloomberg, because some of the stuff in that interview, wow. So I didn't know who Emily Chang was, and I looked her up, and Emily is known for being a serious interviewer, quite a tough interviewer. She interviews CEOs of corporations and organizations, And what I saw coming from Emily was anything but. I think that she must have been fed some of these questions because Meghan was all ready and waiting with some of her cutest answers as of yet. The word salads were rehearsed and well and truly engaged. There were no hard-hitting questions, no pushbacks. At one point, they're in a bookstore and Emily Chang asks Meghan, "How important is it to you to own your own story? Do you think you own your own story?" Meghan owns lots of stories about her. It just depends on which day of the week, like in a bookstore, which personality she's going to have. Every time we see Meghan in an interview of late, she's like a completely different person. So I'm going to break this down into small bite-sized pieces, and I'm not really going to be playing any of it for you because none of you, I'm pretty certain, really want to hear Meghan's voice. So as I said in the beginning, they start off with a tour around the Godmother's bookstore, which we saw in With Love Meghan as well, and I'm beginning to think that the two female owners have actually paid Meghan to do a bit of marketing for them. So as they're walking around the store, Meghan explains to Emily that she loves reading books to her children. At the end of each night, Meghan reads to them. I guess she's already got bored of the fact that she spends the last moments each night writing them emails for them to open when they come of age. So the interview kicks off and you're hearing lots of hard questions here about what does Meghan do in her free time. Oh, well, Meghan's saying that she doesn't get a lot of time to read for herself, but she does practice Duolingo now every single night because she's relearning French. I don't think Meghan ever really knew French. It's one of those conversations that she said she was fluent in Spanish, she's fluent in French. The only thing that Meghan Markle is fluent in is bullshit. She then goes to talk about her love of bookstores and how she finds them a safe place. And all I can hear is Julia Roberts explaining why she likes bookstores, why she finds it as an out-of-work actress as a safe space, because that was the lines that were in Notting Hill. When the two women go outside to grab a coffee, naturally set up outside again, the Godmother's bookstore, Meghan also explains the reason why she loves living in Montecito with the children. And she said it's a beautiful and embracing community. Funny that, because the Montecito Journal and lots of other people have reported that locals do not see Meghan or the children. They have asked them to join in on community events and they never show up. They're not interested. They don't mingle with the neighbours. The only one that they see in that family is occasionally Harry out on a solo bike ride with his security when he's allowed to escape. So Meghan is telling Emily how she owns her own story, right? And then she comes out with another word salad and she says, you anchor into your own knowing. You can show up in the world showing who you are. And I feel like that I am watching a Dr. Seuss riddle in real time. She reminds me here of Jamie Kern-Lima because they both talk the exact same language, and I'm not all too convinced at this point that she and Jamie aren't actually together in some sort of weird California cult. When Emily asks her about so many people talk about Meghan, how does she cope with it? How does she feel about it? And she said that people just make up caricatures of her and it's not the real her. And I have to say, I think South Park personally nailed it. Now, as is expected with every single interview that Meghan gives, she brought up, Emily did conveniently. I reckon, as I said, Meghan gave her a list of questions to make sure that she asked, and it was to do with the 11-year-old Meghan Markle and writing to Procter & Gamble. But this time she put an extra twist on it. She said the reason why she was watching it in the first place was because their school was keeping them locked inside because it was the exact same time of the LA riots. Now, this doesn't ring true to me. Firstly, Thomas Markle has said that Meghan wasn't there when the LA riots were kicking off. He took her out of town, so she didn't see it to protect his daughter, who he loved dearly. But also the timings of the advert and what Meghan is saying. It took me a quick Google to realise that the advert was for Ivory Clear, and that didn't come out until September 1992, but the LA riots were in April 1992, and Meghan appeared on Nick News in 1993. So the math ain't mathin'. And if it were true and the children were being kept behind in class until their parents could safely come pick them up, why are they making the children watch TV commercials? They wouldn't be, would they? And as for the fact that they were all sitting there watching it so intently and the boys were like, oh yeah, that's where women belong, in the kitchen. It doesn't ring true to me that a 12-year-old boy would even think that, let alone sit still long enough to watch a washing up commercial. At 7 minutes 54 seconds, here it comes, the little digs, the little swipes aimed at the royal family. Without directly mentioning them, you know exactly what she's implying. And she says, a few years ago, I didn't have my voice. Meghan, that is not true. From the moment you joined that family, you had a voice. Nobody could get a microphone away from her. The only people that have successfully managed to get a microphone away from Meghan were the two amazing people at the Kevin Costner fundraiser. I still say, congratulations, guys. You achieved something there that I don't think anybody else in history has managed to. In another rather pathetic swipe, Meghan implies that she was forced to wear pantyhose, which she hadn't seen outside of 1980s films. Well, Meghan, you are lying there because I know, because I watched a lot of these royal events, Meghan was often seen not wearing pantyhose, or tights as we call them in the UK, and her legs were greased up like she was a stripper. So I know she wasn't forced to wear tights. And more recently, she was quite happily wearing pantyhose when she went to the Katy Perry concert. Meghan is, of course, talking utter bollocks, but she's doing it just to remind people that the awful things that she had to endure as being part of that family for a whole, I think it was 72 days she worked for them as a senior working royal. 72 days, and wore tights on a handful of occasions. Oh dear, let's call the police on the royal family immediately. 9 minutes in, we get the only promo, which lasts, I think, about 3 minutes or less, for With Love Meghan Part 2. She reveals that they had over 80 crew members working on that load of tosh, and she said on the negative reviews that it received, she said that the demographic that the show was aimed for loved it, and her Netflix partners also loved it. That's why there was a season 2. Well, you're lying again there, Meghan, because everybody already knows that it was filmed. 16 episodes were filmed all together, and I think they picked the best of a bad bunch for the first season, judging by the first 3 episodes I watched of Part 2. So she knows that it was filmed all together. She knows it wasn't renewed for season 2. She knows that other people know this, but she's still trying to gaslight people on this interview. A couple of minutes later, because that's all the promotion that she's actually going to do for the show, again making it very strange that this was released on the day of the launch, unless of course it was, as many of us predicted, it's a distraction because she knows that show is going to be completely panned. But she starts talking about, as ever, or rather Emily is asking her questions to do with her wonderful produce that she sells. But before Meghan can get down to the nitty gritty and explain how she went from 1,000 purchase orders to 1 million, which I'm sorry, nobody believes that, Bloomberg had to do a voiceover. Emily had to do a voiceover, and it said, Meghan refused to give sales figures for as ever, but we do know that her products sold out quickly. Well, they will sell out quickly if she's only making 10 of each. Look, the thing is, the amount of noise that she made about how successful it is and how she, well, even in her own words, she had over 1 million purchase orders. Why would you refuse to give the sales figures unless you are, of course, what? Not telling the truth? Emily asks Meghan, what is it about her products with so many other celebrities that have products in the market? What is going to be the feature, the main thing that Meghan stands out above all of the others? Do you know what Meghan said? Pricing. We know that she is selling white label goods. We know that Netflix are using some of the same companies that they use to sell their other merchandise, such as Bridgerton. It all got found out. They just changed the label on it and Meghan marks up the cost. But my favourite part of her answer was when she starts talking about she wants something that her 15-year-old self would have loved. So this is why she decided to create a $9 jam, because in her brain she said, young girls want someone to look up to, and she's obviously going, me, and they want something that they can afford and they can keep of this person. So I created my $9 jam, and you know what the girls can do with it afterwards? They can keep the little jar and they can put their pens in it on their desk, or they can put their flowers in it. A 15-year-old girl is not going to care about a jam jar on her desk, nor are many 15-year-olds going to think, $9 for some jam, that's so affordable. Which reminds me yet again of Meghan. When she was 13, they were so hard up for cash, according to Meghan, she had to work at the age of 13 to make ends meet. So again, she's tripping over herself. You've got to be able to remember your lies to be a good liar. And I think Meghan just does so many of them, she cannot keep up with herself. Meghan said that she's just poured so much love into As Ever. And I'm thinking to myself, you haven't had a lot of time to pour a lot of love into it though, have you, Meghan? Seeing as you only created it in February this year, so 6-7 months ago. And this is the thing that annoys me. Out of all of these interviews that she is getting, right, whether it's the Time 100, whether it's this, whether it's the podcast with Emma Greeds, it's the fact that they are talking to her like she is a successful businesswoman that's built up a multi-million-pound corporation. Meghan might be hanging around with the women that have done that, but it does not make her one. It's a bit like Meghan when she was trying to be an up-and-coming actress. She'd pose for selfies and she would then take on the role like she's a successful Hollywood A-lister. And we all know that she's not. Meghan is only sitting there getting these interviews because she married into the royal family. And then when you look at the expressions on some of these reporters' faces, they know it as well. Meghan knows nothing about business. She is literally throwing in some corporate words, which most people, unless you're in the industry, you wouldn't know. She does it. This is how she creates her word salads. She just throws lots of words together, which don't necessarily make sense. And it makes her sound like that she knows what she's talking about. My dad used to have a great expression and it was called baffle people with bullshit. And that is exactly what I believe Meghan does. Now this bit will make you laugh. Emily says to Meghan, what direction is As Ever going to go in? Because Meghan's talking about expanding it, right? And she says, well, people do know me for makeup and for fashion. Do they? Do they really, Meghan? On what planet is that? Meghan is known for many, many things. Being a destroyer of families, a one-woman wrecking ball, someone that lied about the royal family when Prince Philip was dying. She tried to torture monarchy to the ground, a constant perpetual victim. She's known for many, many things, but her fashion choices are not one of them. Whilst I do believe that Meghan is one of the most talked about women in fashion, it's normally because of the bad choices that she makes. Because I have never seen another famous person spend so much money on a wardrobe and look like that she got dressed drunk in the dark at a thrift store. And to double down on this new round of gaslighting that Meghan is known for her fashion choices, Emily brings up the Meghan effect. Oh wow, Emily, it's the Kate effect or the Catherine effect, which is the Princess of Wales, who is worth billions to the fashion industry, and Princess Charlotte is hot on her tail. The Meghan effect doesn't exist. Meghan tells Emily that she values everything that she's earned, which actually is nothing. She hasn't earned any of it because Meghan is sitting there, like I said earlier, purely on the fact that she married into the royal family. This interview got far more attention than the release of part 2 of With Love, Meghan, and that's because she attacked the royal family. She and Harry are a tag team. Every couple of months, one of them will pop up and they will make these thinly veiled swipes or very obvious ones at the royal family, and people keep trying to tell us that Harry wants to make amends with his family. Harry and Meghan want to make up with them. No, they don't. They want content. They need to get closer to the royal family again so they can have something to sell and something to whine about. They know that that is all they have to stay relevant. Meghan clings to that title. She clings to it for all it's worth, yet its whole meaning is completely lost on her. They were meant to represent the Crown and the UK and the Commonwealth on the world stage. The Queen gave them the titles, the dukedom. It's Harry's title, but she gave them the dukedom because they were meant to be working royals serving the monarchy. Meghan and Harry only serve themselves. Meghan is not getting these interviews because of her hard work, because of her talent, or because of her business acumen. She gets them simply because of who she married. Meghan, to me, is little more than a parasitic barnacle that is determined to hang onto that royal ship for as long as she possibly can. And if you guys think I'm being a bit harsh there, calling her a barnacle, did you know that some parasitic barnacles, when they attach themselves to their victims, they change their hormone levels and they can destroy their genitalia? I personally think that that explains an awful lot of what happened to Harry. So on that note, guys, that's it for me. I feel like I am definitely Meghan Markled out. So we will be back to real royal news in the next videos. But tell me your thoughts and I will be back with you soon. Take care for now. Bye.